You? Marcus Carter, dressed like that? The guard squinted through his sunglasses, then let out a dry laugh. It echoed off the stone pillars of the entrance gate like a slap in open air. Three staffers standing under the canopy laughed along, not loudly, but in that knowing way. The way people laugh when they think they've found a harmless joke on someone they think is harmless. And that someone standing still in the July sun, one hand on a golf bag, didn't move. He didn't need to. But let's rewind. It was 1:47 p.m. at Thornhill Golf Resort, outside. The afternoon breeze carried the soft thud of tee shots from far-off greens, and the clink of glasses from the clubhouse terrace. A black Audi pulled up to the circular drive. Not a stretch limo, not chauffeured, just clean. Quiet, efficient. The man who stepped out wasn't flashy. No monogram gear, no private valet, no gold-accented polo. Just a black shirt, pressed slacks, and shoes still dusted with soil from a morning walk. That was the problem. He didn't look like he owned the place. So when he walked toward the main gate, golf bag over one shoulder, the young attendant stepped in front of him fast. "Sorry, sir," he said, tone polite but firm. "Guess parking's back the way." Marcus Carter gave him a calm glance. "I'm not parking. I have a tee time." Marcus Carter. 2 o'clock. That name should have cracked the air. But instead the guard scoffed. "Marcus Carter? For real?" He turned back to the others. "Yo, he just said he's the Marcus Carter." Laughter. Like a breeze at first, then building. One staffer leaned against a golf cart and muttered, "Right, and I'm Barack Obama." Another added, "Caddies don't check in at the front gate, man." The guard shook his head, half smiling. "Look, man, you're not on the list. We've got a private VIP tournament today. You'll need to step aside." Marcus didn't step anywhere. He looked past them through the arched gates, down the cobblestone path, toward the rolling greens he purchased just 6 months ago. And in that moment, the irony wasn't lost on him. They were laughing at him in front of a course that only existed because of him. Before we continue, where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. And if you believe in dignity and justice, hit like and subscribe. These stories spark change, and we're glad you're here. Now, back to Marcus. The attendant stepped closer. "Look, sir, I'm asking politely. Guests enter from the side lot. This entrance is for members." Marcus blinked once. "I am a member." The guard snorted. "Sure you are." Marcus's phone buzzed. Jared's name lit up the screen, right on time. Because the laugh they just shared, it was about to be the last one they ever had on his property. The phone buzzed again. Marcus let it ring twice before answering. No rush, no panic. He didn't break eye contact with the guard. "Go ahead," he said into the receiver, voice low. On the other end, Jared's tone was crisp. "They activated the wrong gate again. Do you want to override now?" Marcus paused. He glanced at the line of staffers still watching, some amused, some confused. "Not yet," he replied. "Let's give them 10 more minutes." He ended the call. Silence settled over the entryway, not because it got quiet, but because Marcus didn't move. And that unsettled them. The kind of stillness that made people nervous. The guard tried again, but this time the tone softened slightly. "Look, sir, I'm just doing my job. We've got a high-level VIP event inside. Names were cleared this morning. If you're not on that list, I can't let you through." "You think I'm not on the list?" Marcus said flatly. A pause. "Exactly." The guard nodded. "That's what I said." Marcus looked past him again this time, at a couple stepping out of a Bentley. White, mid-60s, polished country club attire. The same guard practically ran to greet them. "Mr. and Mrs. Langford, welcome back. Carts waiting by the fountain. Have a great round." The couple barely nodded, breezing past Marcus as if he were invisible. When the guard returned, Marcus finally spoke softer this time. "How long you been working here?" The guard raised an eyebrow. 2 years. "Enjoy them? They pay the bills." Marcus nodded. Noted. The guard frowned. What's that supposed to mean? But Marcus didn't answer. Instead, he stepped back just one pace and scanned the grounds. Everything was still pristine. The thornwood gates, the fountain bubbling quietly, the manicured hedges that spelled out Thornhill Elite, a place built on image, on exclusivity, on assumptions. And all of it, every blade of grass, every brick had his name buried deep in the contracting. But none of that mattered here. Not when you're black, not when you walk alone, not when power isn't worn but owned. Before he could say more, a voice from the valet stand piped up, younger, uncertain. Wait, did he say Marcus Carter? It was the teen runner, barely 18, flipping through rival logs. The guard turned sharply. Yeah, and I said he's not on the list. The teen blinked. Yeah, he is. Silence. The guard turned fully now. What? Right here. Carter, Marcus, to PM. Guest of weight. Scratch that. It says owner access. That cracked the air. A shift, slight, but immediate. One of the staffers coughed awkwardly. Another stepped back behind the golf cart, suddenly busy with nothing. The guard stiffened, his mouth open, but nothing came out. Marcus didn't smirk. He didn't raise his voice. He just looked the man square in the eye and said, I told you, I'm not a guest. Then he stepped forward slowly, and the guard didn't stop him this time, because in 10 minutes, none of them would be standing there. And Marcus? He wasn't just walking in. He was reclaiming his ground. The gate creaked open, not mechanically, manually, by the same guard who, 2 minutes earlier, had laughed in his face. Marcus walked through. No strut, no anger, just precision. Each step down the stone path was deliberate, echoing against the hush that had fallen over the entryway. It wasn't the kind of silence you hear in nature. It was the kind that happens when ego meets consequence. To his left, a caddy who'd laughed earlier now looked away, suddenly very interested in adjusting someone's club straps. To his right, a concierge fidgeted with the guest tablet, pretending to check non-existent reservations. Marcus didn't look at them. He was looking forward. The cart path opened into a wide stretch of emerald green rolling hills, sand bunkers glowing gold in the sun, water traps shimmering like polished glass. At the far end stood the clubhouse, 3 floors of old money and new deals. People in pastel polos and Ray-Bans, laughter floating out from the terrace. None of them knew. Not yet. Behind Marcus, the teen valet hesitated, then jogged to catch up. Mr. Carter. Marcus slowed, but didn't stop. Yes. The teen, weary, nervous, extended a phone. I just wanted to say I recognize the name. You're the investor, right? From the Forbes cover. You flipped the Atlanta block in 18? Marcus glanced at him. Just enough. The teen cleared his throat. I think what they did back there was wrong, sir. Marcus nodded once. What's your name? Jordan. Appreciate it, Jordan. He kept walking, because this wasn't the moment to collect apologies. This was the moment to reclaim the narrative. As Marcus approached the main check-in desk at the clubhouse, the energy shifted again. A woman in a blush blazer stepped forward, customer relations manager. You could almost hear the gears turning behind her practiced smile. Good afternoon, sir. May I help? Then she paused, eyes darting to her tablet screen. Her smile twitched. Mr. Carter. Marcus stopped. You knew I was coming, he said flatly. Yes, of course, sir, she stammered. There must have been a miscommunication at the gate. He cut her off, voice quiet but final. I was on time. They weren't. Before she could recover, Marcus turned and pointed to a nearby screen live feed from the security cameras. One showed the entrance gate. 5 minutes ago. Still recording. He pulled his phone out and typed one line to Jared. Timestamp footage. Secure all clips. Audit begins now. Because this wasn't just about embarrassment. This was a pattern. And he was going to end it publicly, professionally, and permanently. Behind him, more staff began to murmur. One assistant whispered, "Is that really him?" Another, "Why didn't anyone tell us the owner was coming today?" But it was too late. Marcus Carter didn't announce himself. He never had to. He built empires that spoke before he opened his mouth. And today at the golf resort, he'd saved from bankruptcy, rebranded, and rebuilt from the dirt up. They were about to learn his name the hard way. Marcus stood still, not in indecision and control. Behind the front desk, the guest manager was tapping furiously on her screen, pretending to verify things she already knew were true. To her left, a junior associate began whispering into a headset, something about owner on site. Security issue at front gate, footage requested. Marcus didn't raise his voice. He simply said, "I'd like to speak to whoever runs this facility during peak hours." The manager blinked. "Sir, I am technically in charge of member services." "I said who runs this facility," Marcus repeated. Calm. Clip. That word runs hit different. Behind him, a young man in golf attire paused mid-step toward the check-in line, his eyes shifting toward the conversation. A couple seated at the lounge looked up from their drinks. Marcus didn't move, didn't blink. He didn't need to demand attention. He was the attention now. The manager took a shaky breath. I can call Mr. Reeves. He is the on-site operations director. But I think he's still on the course right now." Marcus checked his watch. It was 1:56 p.m. "Tell him," he asked for minutes. The manager's fingers fumbled on the intercom. A call went out. "Mr. Reeves, please return to the front desk, urgently." Marcus walked over to a leather-bound chair in the lounge area, sat down slowly, crossed one leg over the other. This wasn't rage. This was discipline weaponized. Guests looked on with curiosity, some now whispering, some recognizing his face from news segments, startup forums, or magazine covers. One older gentleman leaned toward his wife. "That's Marcus Carter, the guy who took over this place last fall. They said he saved it from a complete shutdown." The wife replied under her breath, "So why were they laughing at him outside?" "Exactly." 2 minutes later, the glass doors opened and in walked Nathan Reeves, mid-40s, golf shirt half tucked, holding a driver in one hand and confusion in both eyes. He saw Marcus, froze, then walked faster. "Mr. Carter," he called, forcing a smile to wide. "Pleasure to see you, sir. Wasn't told you were dropping in today." "You weren't supposed to be," Marcus said without standing. Reeves stopped short, the fake charm dropped. "I understand there was some misunderstanding." Marcus finally stood. "Do you always let your entry gate profile guests?" Reeves's face stiffened. "Excuse me." "I was stopped, laughed at, told to check in with the caddies by 3 of your staff, on camera." Reeves swallowed. "I'm sure that was just poor training. A bad read. They didn't realize." Marcus held up a hand. "That's the point." He pulled out his phone. Screen unlocked with one tap. Security footage loaded. Gate timecode. Audio. Laughter. Reeves paled. "I'm not here for an apology," Marcus said. "I'm here for accountability." The air in the lounge had gone cold. No music, no clinks of ice. Just stillness. Marcus turned to the guest manager. "You knew I was coming. You had my name flagged. You said nothing when they blocked me. Didn't know how to intervene. You chose not to." He turned back to Reeves. "So you have a choice." Reeves looked down, lips tight. "This entire team, the ones who laughed, the ones who looked away, are your responsibility." Then Marcus stepped closer, voice low, like the calm before a siren. "Are they worth your job?" Reeves didn't answer. Not yet. But the room already had. Reeves stood frozen, mouth parted, but no words forming. Around them, the lounge felt like a paused frame, as if the entire building was waiting to hear what Marcus would say next. He didn't shout. He didn't flinch. He just turned slightly and addressed the manager. "Pull up today's staffing log. Gate crew, noon to 2. The woman hesitated, then tapped furiously into her tablet. Her hand shook, not because she was guilty, but because she now realized she'd stood on the wrong side of silence. "Got it," she said. Marcus walked slowly to the desk and took the tablet from her without asking. 3 names. He stared at them, read them once, then again. Then he looked up. "Call each of them to the clubhouse, now." The manager didn't ask why. She just nodded, pale. Reeves finally spoke, his voice low. "Sir Marcus, if I may." Marcus turned, calm as ever. "Nathan, Let me ask you a question. Reeves straightened. If a guest walked in here, someone white, someone in a branded polo, and gave your staff a name they didn't recognize, would they laugh? Or would they check first? Reeves didn't answer. Exactly, Marcus said. Then, for the first time, his tone sharpened. I didn't come here for optics. I came here for golf, on my property. And instead, I was profiled, mocked, and told to go to the public course. Now heads were turning across the lounge, phones lowered, conversations stopped. People were watching, listening, and this time, they weren't laughing. The front doors opened again. Kyle, the ringleader at the gate, strolled in first, still wearing sunglasses indoors. Behind him, Brent, clipboard in hand, and Sarah, the headset girl. They looked casual, relaxed. Then they saw Marcus. And stopped. Kyle frowned. Yo, what's he doing in here? Reeves didn't speak. Marcus did. You'll want to take off your sunglasses, Kyle. Kyle scoffed. Why? Marcus didn't blink. Because I'm about to fire you, and I prefer eye contact. Silence. You could hear someone drop a spoon across the lounge. Brent's jaw dropped. Sarah took one step back. Kyle looked around, searching for backup. Wait, what? For what? That's crazy. Marcus held up the tablet, tapping the names. This was you? Correct. Noon shift. Main gate. Mocking a member, laughing at his name. Denying entry without verification. Kyle's voice rose. Man, we didn't know who you were. Marcus nodded slowly. Exactly. Then he looked at Brent. You tore up the clipboard with my name on it. Brent stammered. It was a joke. And you, Sarah? Marcus turned. Told the valet runner I probably snuck in for maintenance. Her eyes filled. I didn't mean. But you said it. He stepped back, letting his words settle. This place operates on trust, on dignity. And what you did wasn't just disrespectful. It was systemic. He turned to Reeves, removed them from the property, effective immediately. Final checks delivered by week's end. Access revoked today. Reeves didn't argue. He just nodded slowly, then gestured to security staff at the far corner. The 3X staffers stood frozen. Sarah looked like she might cry. Brent didn't move. Kyle finally took off his glasses, tossed them on the floor. Y'all gonna regret this, he muttered. No, Marcus said softly. You will. Then he turned, walked back to the lounge chair, and sat. Calmly still. Behind him, security escorted the trio out the front doors, the same doors they once guarded with pride. Now passed through in shame, and no one cheered, because power like this doesn't need applause. It just needs to be seen. The door clicked shut behind the last of the three. Silence stretched across the Thornhill clubhouse. Marcus sat still, not victorious, not smug, just exactly where he belonged. He turned to the guest manager. Gather the full staff, he said. All departments, now. She blinked. Sir, that's the entire Friday crew. Over 70 people. Marcus looked her in the eye. All of them, within minutes, were traveled faster than a tee shot on dry grass. From the kitchens to the maintenance garage. From the spa to the driving range. Employees began to converge on the main atrium, a vaulted space framed by floor-to-ceiling windows, gleaming floors, and too many portraits of white founders. They stood in pockets, some in aprons, others in polos, some still holding tools, murmuring, glancing at one another. Some already knew what had happened. Others only heard whispers. He fired 3. The owner's here. It's that Marcus Carter. Marcus stepped up to the center of the room. No mic, no stage, just presence. He scanned the faces in front of him. Many were young, many people of color. Some looked nervous, others hopeful. He spoke. I bought this resort last year not just to save it, but to change it. No flourish, just truth. It was bleeding money, bleeding members, and bleeding relevance. I stepped in, invested, and rebuilt it from the roots up. He took a breath. But buildings are easy. Culture is hard. Heads nodded. What happened at the gate today wasn't about one man being mistaken. It was about how we see and don't see each other. Eyes dropped, arms folded tighter. I walked up, quiet, alone, and was laughed at, mocked, turned away. Not because of policy, but because of profile. He led that land. This happens more than you think, every day, to people who look like me, like many of you, at hotels, showrooms, offices, even in spaces we own. A young black woman in groundskeeping uniform glanced up, her eyes glassy. She knew. Marcus continued, but today was the last time it happens here. A murmur rose, not loud, but steady. 3 staff have been terminated, not for a mistake, but for a mindset. He looked around. You are not just employees. You are custodians of this place's values. And if the values are broken, we fix them. He paused. Starting Monday, every single staff member will undergo bias training, led by outside facilitators. No exceptions. That includes management. That includes me. This time the room shifted. Not in fear and alignment. I want this place to reflect not just excellence, but equity. Not just tradition, but transformation. A few nodded. One young man clapped once. Another followed. Then silence again. Marcus stepped back. If that vision doesn't align with you, this is your exit window. No shame, no hate, but no space for what we just witnessed. He let the silence breathe, then finally added, but if you're ready to build something better for real, we start now. The applause didn't come all at once. It came in waves, hesitant, then strong, then full. Not for a speech, for a standard. Jordan stood in the back, pressed against a column near the espresso bar, hands still smudged from running carts all morning. Just a valet runner 18, barely hired a month ago. But today, his whole world had shifted 10 degrees. He'd watched the gate staff laugh, watched Marcus stand still, not in fear, but in ownership, watched 3 people escorted out. And now he'd watched a black man walk into a space that tried to erase him and redefine it in front of 70 witnesses. Jordan wasn't just impressed. He was changed. He looked down at the clipboard he carried, reservation lists, guest codes, maintenance check logs. All of it now felt heavier, meaningful. He gripped the pen tighter. Across the room, the staff began to disperse slowly, returning to stations, tasks, rituals. But no one moved the same way. Every step held a new awareness. Marcus was still in the atrium, speaking quietly to a spa supervisor, calm, intentional, real. Jordan took a breath, then stepped forward. "Mr. Carter," he called softly. Marcus turned. For a moment, Jordan froze. The confidence he built up from the back of the room evaporated in one breath. But Marcus waited, eyes steady, warm. Jordan found his words. I wanted to say thank you for what you said, for how you handled all that. I saw what they did to you at the gate." Marcus nodded once. "I saw you too." Jordan blinked. "You did. You didn't laugh," Marcus said. "You didn't join them. You hesitated. That matters." Jordan exhaled, the kind of breath you hold without realizing. "I've been here a month," he said. I thought I had to just stay quiet, blend in, not cause anything." "You don't need to cause anything," Marcus replied. "You just need to stand up when it counts." Jordan bit his lip, then held out his clipboard. "I want to do more," he said. "Not just park carts. I want to be part of something bigger here. This place is changing. I feel it, and I want to help." Marcus looked at the clipboard, then at the kid holding it with both hands, not just like a tool, but like a promise. He took out a card. "Talk to Jared Monday morning. Tell him I said to find you a spot on the transformation team." Jordan took the card like it was made of glass. His hands were shaking. "Thank you, sir. I won't let you down." "I know." Marcus turned to walk away, but paused. "And Jordan?" "Yes. Never apologize for taking up space, especially in places they said weren't built for you." Jordan stood straighter. Across the atrium, a few staff watched, a few guests, too. And maybe, just maybe, the story had already started spreading. Not just the story of a CEO, but of a moment, a turning point, where dignity didn't knock on the door, it owned the building. Marcus didn't wait for thanks. He never did. As the staff trickled back to their posts, some still shaken, others silently ignited, he moved toward the front doors. No security flanking him. No boardroom entourage. Just him. A black man walking through a space that tried to shrink him, now forever expanded by his presence. He passed the reception desk. The same guest manager who had once frozen now stood upright, arms folded. Trying to compose herself, she opened her mouth as he approached, searching for words, maybe to explain, maybe to defend. He stopped, not to hear her, just to look her in the eye. Then, softly, "Do better." She nodded. It wasn't fear. It was awakening. He moved on. At the valet stand, Jordan was still standing where Marcus had left him. Clipboard held tighter than before, like a new weight, but one he welcomed. "Mr. Carter," he said. Marcus nodded. A golf cart pulled up, this time without fanfare, no one rushing to impress. It was just a ride back to his car, like it always should have been. As he climbed in, to guests near the terrace, white, middle-aged, buttoned-up paused mid-sip. Wait, was that? Yeah, Marcus Carter. Damn, he was here. And like smoke, the story began drifting across every marble hallway and gravel path of the Thornhill estate. The man they mocked owned the title. The man they doubted had just rewritten the club's entire culture. Inside, whispers started. In the kitchen, he didn't even raise his voice. In the locker room, I've worked here 6 years. No one's ever spoken to Reeves like that. In the employee lounge, did you hear what he told Jordan? In the boardroom Slack channel, one word appeared first. Carter. And then, 15 minutes after he disappeared through the gate, an email landed in every staff inbox. From Marcus Carter. Subject: Thornhill standards moving forward. Just 4 lines. We lead by presence, not profile. We serve by dignity, not default. We protect our guests and our own from small minds in big uniforms. And we begin again. Today. No signature. None needed. Meanwhile, outside, Marcus stood beside his Audi. Jared had just pulled up, clipboard in hand, suit jacket off, sleeves rolled. They've processed the terminations, Jared said. Training dates confirmed. Legal's reviewing the footage, just in case they try to dispute the grounds. Marcus nodded. Jordan, reporting Monday morning, said he stayed behind to help reorganize the valet rotation. Marcus looked out across the lot. Birds overhead, wind slicing across the treetops. The sound of a ball cracking from the third hole tee box. Order restored, but this time, built on new ground. You good? Jared asked. Marcus opened his car door. I was never the one who needed fixing. Then he got in, started the engine, and pulled away. No victory lap. No statement to the press, just forward motion. Because when dignity wins, it doesn't need to wave a flag. It just doesn't lose. It started with a tweet from Jordan. Not flashy, not trending, just 12 words. Saw a black man get laughed at, then I saw him change everything. No names, no tags. But the algorithm didn't care. It felt the truth. By sundown, the post had 30K likes. By midnight, over 1 to OK. Screenshots surfaced, the gate footage, the walk-in, the speech. None leaked by Marcus. He never needed to. The staff did it for him. TikTok blue necks. A spa intern recorded part of the team address. No zooms, no edits. Just Marcus standing, arms calm, voice grounded, saying, "This isn't about me. It's about all of us." Clip stitched with reactions. Duets of black fathers nodding in silence. Young execs in suits whispering preach. Even APGA junior coach mouthing, "Let him know." Reddit grabbed hold. Title read. Black CEO shuts down racism at country club without raising his voice. Top comment. That's what Grace Under Fire looks like. Instagram reposted the footage across social justice pages. At Black Excellency. At Power Movesomely. At Quiet Powerizing. Each one flooding with comments like, "This is how you lead. I need this man to run for president. He's not just a CEO. He's a standard." By morning, the news caught up. Forbes reposted a throwback cover. Marcus Carter, the quiet architect of equity. Caption, Still building, still unbothered. CNN's morning segment featured a clip. GMA reached out for an exclusive. LinkedIn trended. Marcus Carter. Corporate leaders quoted him. The HR department scrambled to draft new internal memos. Dick consultants flooded inboxes. But Marcus? He didn't tweet, didn't comment, didn't repost. His only online move? A single pinned post on LinkedIn. Dignity doesn't scream. It stands. Justice doesn't beg. It corrects. Let's keep building, brick by brick. No hashtags. It went viral anyway. Meanwhile, at Thornhill Golf Resort, guest bookings surged. Not because the story went public, but because the values did. People started requesting tee times on Carter's course. Membership inquiries doubled. A local high school asked if their black STEM students could tour the grounds. The old board, silent, some uncomfortable, some inspired. One quietly resigned, replaced by a young black woman with a background in inclusive architecture. The shift wasn't cosmetic, it was cultural. And the irony? The 3 employees who mocked him had no idea they'd launched a revolution with one laugh. A laugh that now rang across millions of devices as a warning. Be careful who you assume is beneath you. They might be the ones who sign your check. It was well past midnight. The condo lights were low, just whispered from a corner speaker. Nothing fancy, just Coltrane on vinyl, spinning slow. Marcus sat on the edge of his kitchen stool, one hand around a mug, the other tracing a crease in the marble counter he rarely had time to notice. Jared had gone home hours ago. The phone had stopped buzzing. The world had moved on as it always did. But Marcus hadn't. Not yet. His laptop sat open in front of him. Not emails, not spreadsheets. Just a blank document. Title, Legacy Notes. He typed one line. I wasn't calm because I'm emotionless. I was calm because I've had practice. He stopped, breathed, then deleted the line. To soft, he thought. To forgiving. His mind drifted back, not to the golf course, but to a much smaller gate. Atlanta at age 14, trying to get into a country club pool with his cousin. Dressed neat, spoke well. Still heard, sorry. This is for members only. The guard didn't even check. His uncle said, let it go, son. He did, and when it happened again at 17, trying to tour a college campus solo, orientation is next week. This entrance is for faculty. He let it go. At 22, dressed for his first pitch meeting, and the receptionist assumed he was food delivery. He let it go. At 30, he'd already built the startups but still had an investor hand him his coat in a boardroom. He let it go, but he never forgot. Every incident, every assumption, every denial disguised as protocol. It wasn't that Marcus didn't feel anger. It was that he had learned to refine it, to turn rage into resolve, humiliation into habit, disrespect into discipline. That's why he didn't explode at Thornhill. He'd already burned through his fire years ago. Now he was the steel left behind. His phone buzzed once. A message from his mother, late, but not surprising. Saw what happened. You made us proud again. Your father would have nodded, said nothing, then gone and told every neighbor before sunrise. He smiled, eyes soft now, not because of the praise, but because she knew the cost of calm, knew what it took to walk into spaces not built for you and stay standing. He typed back, it wasn't just for me, Ma. It never is. And that was the truth. Every time Marcus stood tall, he stood on something. Years of training his voice not to tremble. Years of watching others get loud and lose ground. Years of being underestimated so thoroughly, it became a cloak. Now, he wore that invisibility like armor. Because when they didn't see him coming, they never saw the shift he brought. He closed the laptop, left the page untitled, because his story wasn't done. By Tuesday morning, the emails weren't just praise, they were proposals. Mentorship forums, keynote speaking gigs, magazine covers. 3 Ivy League schools reached out to offer honorary degrees. But Marcus wasn't chasing accolades. He was scanning for impact. That's why one email stopped him cold. Subject: National Diversity and Equity Council Founding Advisor Invitation. The message was brief, but potent. Mr. Carter, Your leadership this past week has inspired not only the Thornhill community, but professionals nationwide. We are forming a permanent board cross-industry, intergenerational to redefine equity practices at the institutional level, not panels, not pledges, implementation. We'd like you to help us build it. He leaned back in his chair. No flashing headlines, no cameras. Just a quiet door opening, one that could change the shape of the hallway behind it. He clicked reply. Type one sentence. Let's meet, but only if we're starting from action, not applause. That night, his Zoom box lit up alongside 6 others. Educators, investors, hospital administrators, a labor organizer, a city planner. All people who'd fought for seats at tables and now were building their own. The chairwoman opened. Marcus, we know your name, but we want to know your plan. He answered without fanfare. We stop training people how to cope with bias. We start training systems how to eliminate it. Someone nodded. Another scribbled a note. We build access not as charity, but as structure. More nods. And we stop measuring success by how well black folks survive disrespect. We measure it by how rare the disrespect becomes. Silence. Then applause, not performative, but real. One educator leaned forward. You ever consider running something bigger than a resort? Marcus didn't smile, didn't dodge. He simply said, I'm already running something bigger. It's called expectations. The room shifted, the energy landed. Because that's what Marcus always changed, not just policy, but perspective, not just behavior, standards. By the end of the call, his name wasn't just on a headline. It was on the founding document of a national movement. Thornhill looked different now. Not on the outside, the gates still glistened, the fairway still rolled like velvet. But the air had changed. Whispers of policy shifts, new hires from overlooked communities, leadership swaps, staff members standing taller, members asking better questions. But Marcus wasn't here for updates. He was here for the game. It was a crisp Saturday morning early. No fanfare, no crowd, just dew on the grass and the hush of pretty silence. Marcus stood at hole 1, glove on, club in hand, alone. Not lonely, intentionally alone. He had arrived through the main gate. No questions, no double takes. The new guard, a young woman named Amina, greeted him by name. Welcome back, Mr. Carter. The course is yours. That was enough. Now, on the tee box, he grounded his stance, looked out over the long fairway, wide, open, honest. He inhaled. The breeze brushed his collar. Sunlight danced across the ridge of the hills. He didn't need to prove anything. Not today, not anymore. But he would enjoy the silence he earned. He drew the club back, smooth, unrushed, and then with precision built from years of restraint and focus he swung. Crack, the ball soared. High, clean, dead center. No slice, no hook, just clarity. He watched it sail, hands still firm, posture unbroken. Behind him, a few early staff members paused to watch, not because he was famous, but because he was present, a presence they now understood. As the ball dropped onto the fairway, perfect placement, Marcus whispered to himself. Space claimed. He slid the club back into his bag, turned, and walked toward the green. No cameras, no crowd, no speech. Just a black man, free, on land he owns, in a world he's reshaping one swing at a time. Fade to black,